During dinner, my son spoke loudly, saying, "At least mom's new husband isn't a loser like you." I stayed silent. The next morning, his car was missing and his school account was frozen. By evening, my ex wife called me in a panic. "Hello, viewers. Welcome to the channel. We're just getting started, and your support means a lot. If you enjoy these stories, please subscribe and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for being here. This incident happened around a month ago, and I'm still trying to process everything. I never imagined I'd be facing this kind of drama at my age, yet here we are. A little background: I'm 45 years old and have been divorced from my ex wife, Sarah, for about 3 years. We have one son, Tyler, who is 19 and currently in his second year of college. The divorce was messy, and Sarah made every effort to turn Tyler against me during the process. Sarah remarried last year to a man named Brad, who works in sales and acts like he's a big deal because he drives a BMW and wears expensive suits. Tyler adores Brad and constantly compares me to him, never in a flattering way. The truth is, I'm actually doing well for myself. I work as an electrical engineer, earn a good income, own my house outright, and have solid savings. I just don't flaunt it like Brad does. I drive a practical sedan and dress casually. But Sarah has convinced Tyler that this makes me a loser. During the divorce, Sarah fought me on every issue, including child support and custody. She pushed for the highest possible support and the least possible visitation for me. The court didn't agree with her demands, so we ended up with shared custody and reasonable support payments. As part of the divorce settlement, I agreed to cover Tyler's college expenses: tuition, room, and board. This was actually my suggestion because I wanted to ensure Tyler had every opportunity, no matter how the marriage ended. Sarah accepted this arrangement. I've been paying around $30,000 a year for Tyler's private university, which isn't cheap, but I wanted him to have the best education available. I set up automatic tuition payments and gave him a credit card for other school related expenses. Since the divorce, Tyler's disrespect toward me has only grown. Sarah encourages this behavior during family dinners, and Brad never steps in to stop it. Dealing with Tyler has become an exercise in patience as he constantly compares me to Brad. According to him, Brad is more successful, more fun, and far more generous than I am. Brad takes him on lavish trips and buys designer clothes, while I'm just the person who pays for his education and offers a quiet, stable home. The car situation plays an important role in this story. When Tyler started college, he wanted a car, and Sarah insisted I buy him one. Our divorce agreement didn't mention anything about providing a car, but Tyler kept pressuring me. Eventually, I agreed and purchased a reliable used Honda, something perfectly suitable for a college student. Tyler wasn't happy. He had his sights set on something flashy, like Brad's BMWs. I explained that a dependable used car was the more practical choice for his situation, and he should appreciate having one at all. He accepted it reluctantly, but complained about it at every opportunity. Recently, Tyler has been staying with me every other weekend, as outlined in our custody arrangement. These visits have become increasingly tense because he spends most of the time praising Brad and talking about how much better things are at his mom's house. Last month, Tyler came over for his usual weekend visit. I had planned to take him to a nice restaurant so we could spend some quality time together. I hoped it would give us a chance to talk without any arguments or comparisons. At first, things went smoothly. We discussed his classes and his summer break plans, and Tyler seemed to be in good spirits. I felt optimistic that we might actually have a pleasant evening that lasted about half an hour. Soon, Tyler brought up an upcoming vacation Sarah and Brad were planning for him, an expensive spring break trip to Europe that sounded like it cost more than most people earn in months. He went on and on about how excited he was. I made the mistake of asking whether Brad was paying for this trip or if it was coming out of the college fund I provide. Tyler instantly became defensive, saying it was none of my concern how Brad spent his money and that Brad was generous, unlike some people. From there, the conversation unraveled. Tyler began comparing Brad's generosity to what he saw as my stinginess, and once again, he brought up the car. Tyler told me Brad would have bought him something nice instead of an old Honda. According to him, Brad understood what he needed, while I was only concerned with being practical. I tried to steer the conversation in a different direction, but Tyler wasn't done. He started listing all the ways Brad was supposedly better than me, more successful, more fun, more understanding. In Tyler's view, Brad was everything a father should be. The breaking point came when Tyler said, loudly enough for nearby diners to hear, "At least mom's new husband isn't a loser like you." He wore this smug look, as if he was proud of himself for putting me in my place. I sat there for a moment, staring at him. People around us had clearly heard the comment and were now watching. I felt a wave of humiliation and anger, but I didn't want to cause a public scene. I quietly asked for the check and we left in silence. The drive back was tense. Tyler seemed to realize he'd crossed a line, but he didn't apologize. When we reached his dorm, I told him I'd see him in 2 weeks for his next scheduled visit. He just shrugged and walked away. That night, sitting at home, I thought about what Tyler had said. It hit me that I'd been enabling his disrespect by continuing to support him financially while he treated me like garbage. Something needed to change. The next morning, I made a series of phone calls. First, I contacted the bank and canceled Tyler's credit card. Then, I called his college bursar's office and instructed them to put a hold on any new charges to his student account until I personally reviewed them. Since I was the account holder and the one paying, this was entirely within my rights. Finally, I called the car insurance company and had his vehicle removed from my policy. After that, I drove to his dorm, used my spare key, and retrieved the Honda from the student parking lot. The car was registered and titled in my name, with Tyler only listed as an authorized user, meaning I had full legal authority to take it back. By midday, Tyler's college account was frozen, his car was gone, and his credit card had been declined when he tried to buy lunch. I imagined he was having a confusing day, slowly piecing together what had happened. I didn't bother calling to explain. If he wanted to treat me like a loser, he could find out what life was like without the loser's financial support. That evening, my phone began ringing. First, it was Tyler. I didn't answer. Then Sarah called, again and again. I sent those to voicemail as well. I wasn't ready for their drama. Sarah left several increasingly frantic messages. The first one was angry. Sarah's first voicemail was full of anger, demanding to know why Tyler's accounts had been frozen. By the third message, her tone had shifted. She was practically begging me to call her back, saying Tyler was having a meltdown. When she called for the sixth time, I finally picked up. She was frantic, asking what I'd done and why I was punishing Tyler. According to her, he was in tears and couldn't understand why his car and credit card weren't working. I calmly explained that Tyler had made it clear he saw me as a loser unworthy of his respect. If that was truly how he felt, then he no longer needed financial support from someone he considered worthless. For a moment, Sarah was silent. Then her voice rose. She started shouting about the divorce agreement and my supposed obligation to pay for Tyler's education. I reminded her that respect and basic decency were not too much to expect in return for $30,000 a year. She argued that Tyler was just a teenager and didn't mean what he said. I pointed out that he was 19 in college and more than capable of understanding that actions have consequences and that you shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. Sarah shifted tactics, breaking into tears and insisting I was ruining Tyler's education. She claimed he couldn't afford a college without my help and accused me of destroying his future over hurt feelings. I told her that Tyler should have thought about that before insulting me in public. When I refused to restore his accounts immediately, Sarah hung up on me. I knew she'd call back once she realized I was serious. That evening, Tyler tried calling me several more times, but I didn't answer. I wasn't going to speak with him until he was ready to have a real discussion about respect and consequences. The next day, Sarah called again, this time with Brad on the line. Brad tried to act as the peacemaker, suggesting we work something out. He claimed Tyler had learned his lesson and was very sorry about what happened at dinner. I told Brad that if he truly believed Tyler had learned his lesson, then Brad was welcome to take over paying for Tyler's college expenses. There was a long pause. Apparently, Brad's generosity had limits when it came to spending his own money. Sarah quickly jumped back in, threatening legal action. She said the divorce agreement required me to cover Tyler's education and that I couldn't just stop because my feelings were hurt. I told her to have her lawyer contact mine. The truth is, the agreement did require me to pay for Tyler's education, but it said nothing about enduring abuse in exchange for that support. I was ready to argue in court that expecting respect and basic decency was entirely reasonable. Over the next few days, I started receiving calls from various family members who had heard about the situation. Some thought I was being too harsh, while others felt it was about time Tyler faced real consequences for his behavior. My brother fully supported my decision. He had personally witnessed Tyler's disrespect toward me and believed the kid needed a reality check. My sister, on the other hand, was more worried about Tyler's education, but still agreed that his behavior was unacceptable. It wasn't until the third day that Tyler finally called me himself. He was crying and apologizing for what he'd said at dinner, begging me to return his car and credit card. He promised to be more respectful going forward. I told him that saying sorry was easy. What really mattered were his actions. If he wanted my financial support, he would have to show me genuine respect, not just when he needed something, but all the time. That meant no more comparisons to Brad and no more insults about my lifestyle. Tyler agreed to those terms and seemed sincerely remorseful. I told him I would think about restoring his accounts, but from now on, he would have to earn back both my trust and my financial support. After our conversation, I decided to give him one more chance. I reinstated his college account so he could continue his education, but I kept the car and credit card suspended. I told him those could be earned back through consistent, respectful behavior over time. I also had a direct conversation with Sarah about boundaries. I made it clear that if she continued to encourage Tyler's disrespect toward me, I would permanently withdraw all financial support. She had to decide between keeping her vendetta against me or protecting Tyler's education. Sarah didn't like the ultimatum, but she could see I was serious. She agreed to stop undermining my relationship with Tyler and to encourage him to be more respectful. Whether she follows through remains to be seen. Surprisingly, the situation has somewhat improved my relationship with Tyler. The shock of losing his car and credit card made him realize just how much he relied on my support. He's been more respectful in our conversations and has stopped making constant comparisons to Brad. For now, Tyler is living without a car and using cash for his expenses. I've told him he can earn those privileges back by consistently showing respect and appreciation for what I provide. So far, he seems to be making an effort. Brad, meanwhile, has been noticeably quiet since learning his generosity would be tested if I stopped supporting Tyler. It turns out it's easy to be the fun and generous stepfather when someone else is covering the major expenses. But Brad's true colors showed when it came to taking on actual financial responsibility. This entire experience taught me one important lesson. Financial support should always come with the expectation of basic respect. I also sat down with Sarah to discuss clear boundaries. I told her plainly that if she kept encouraging Tyler's disrespect toward me, I would cut off my financial support for good. She needed to decide whether her grudge against me was worth risking Tyler's education. Sarah wasn't pleased with the ultimatum, but she understood I was serious and agreed to stop undermining my relationship with him, as well as to push him toward being more respectful. Whether she keeps that promise remains uncertain. Still, the situation has somewhat improved my relationship with Tyler. The shock of losing his car and credit card made him realize how heavily he relied on my help. Since then, he's spoken to me with more respect and has dropped the constant comparisons to Brad. Tyler continues to live without a car and uses cash for his expenses. I've told him he can earn those privileges back only by showing ongoing respect and appreciation for what I do for him. So far, he's putting in an effort. Brad, on the other hand, has been noticeably silent since learning that his so called generosity would be tested if I stopped covering Tyler's major costs. It's easy to play the generous stepfather when someone else foots the big bills, but when real responsibility appeared, Brad's true colors showed. This entire experience reminded me that financial help should always come with the expectation of basic respect. I had been so focused on providing for Tyler that I forgot to insist on common decency in return. That was my mistake, and one I needed to fix. Some might think I was too strict, but I disagree. Tyler is an adult, and adults must understand that relationships are two-way. You can treat someone poorly and still expect their financial backing just because you share a family tie. The results so far have been positive. Tyler is more respectful, Sarah is less likely to interfere, and Brad now knows there are limits to his role. Sometimes, tough love is the only way to correct unhealthy family patterns. I'm hopeful that Tyler and I can rebuild a healthier connection based on mutual respect rather than money. He's intelligent, but made poor choices, and I believe this situation has shown him the value of treating others well. Looking back, I wish I had set these limits sooner instead of letting the disrespect go unchecked for so long. Still, it's better late than never. Tyler learned that actions carry consequences, and I learned that helping someone financially doesn't mean tolerating abuse. The car remains in my garage, and Tyler asks about it each time we talk. I tell him it will be his again only after 6 months of consistent, respectful behavior. He's making progress, but he's not there yet. This was a wake up call for all of us. Tyler now knows that financial support isn't guaranteed. Sarah understands her choices affect his future, and I've learned that boundaries are essential even within family. I truly hope Tyler takes the lesson to heart. He has the potential to be both successful and kind, but part of success is knowing how to treat people right. Sometimes the most valuable gift you can offer someone is accountability.